Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode number 206. This is reviewing the 206th episode of the anime, The New Team 7. This one adapts from the last two pages of chapter 39, basically 40-41, the entirety of chapter 40, and almost the entirety of chapter 41. They pretty much cover from pages 2 to 35. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, though I should point out though, the first couple pages of chapter 40, those were actually adapted two chapters back, like two episodes back before this one, which that's interesting. The fact that that's like that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Actually, it was adapted for like last week, where it mentions that the whole thing about Shikamaru finding out about Sasuke being treated. Yeah, that was actually put in last week. They basically switched around, so he found that information was related to Shikamaru before he got to the Uzumaki house. In the manga, that's what it was in the anime. In the manga, he would form after he got there. So he started from Shikamaru's perspective, where he's like, "Okay, I hope you come back," and that's it for him. Yeah, it's a brief little moment. Yeah, he's hoping to come back. We see a close up of the broken picture of Naruto, and then we cut to the dimension where the Team 7 is at. And they're basically they're in their dimension, and then they look up and they find, they think it's Joggin. According to Quantity, that is Baro. I should point out though, this particular opening scene, which is like less than a minute, that covers the last two pages of chapter 39. From pretty much happens right after that. That comes from the rest of chapter 40, and what they adapted from chapter 41. So, according to Kawanaki, and this is true in the manga too, that is Baro. He's one of the Kara's inners, and he's worse than Joggin. And of course, they have he basically tosses down the big jar which has Naruto in it. Yeah, he's here for a few chapters before he eventually is freed. So, then they have a fight with them, where it's just Baruto and Kawanaki fighting him for quite a while. Mitsuki tries to step in and, use his own powers on him. Also, Sadara's off in the distance, basically on the sidelines with her Shuriken out. I should point out, though, that she's had the two tears thing. Yes. Sasuke pointed this out, though, the last time he saw her in person, before he went off on his little mission for, the village, that he noticed that she has now so she can do Chidori. She doesn't use a Chidori here. All she uses is the Mantra Strength and the Fireball Jutsu. And of course, then we have, using Rasengan on him, which does some damage. And then Bar unleashes this dark mist, later revealed to be a virus. Yes. And of course, you have Sadara and Mitsuki retreating with Baruto and Kwanaki, who basically are not moving. Of course, Baro reveals some information to Baruto. He thanks him for being a vessel for, Momoshiki, the man who Baruto killed in the Chunin exam arc. So, because he's a vessel, and of course, he remembers Delta's intel about Baruto, and then of course he's dragged away. And then we have a strategy meeting in a hole on a side of a top of a rock or whatever, where Meats comes with a very interesting suggestion. Because Sadara was going to give him commands there that we have 4 people here, and this basically comes to New Team 7, and we have Sadara pointing to the captain. Now, he suggested that. Kwanaki has got no problem with it at all. Baruto is like, why Sadara? You know better. And, no one's got a problem with that. Of course, Sadara basically likes being called captain. She's like, Lord Kage basically would sound a little better, but Sadara, we're captain. And her strategy is simply this. Of course, she ends up fighting, Baro again. Yeah, fights him for quite a while. He infects her with the virus, but it doesn't work, because she's got antibodies, and she uses the Fireball Jutsu on him, and then we have a superpower Rasengan put on him, and looks like they won. Oh yeah, by the way, they do point out something interesting about the card before I continue here. That excuse me, it can absorb chakra, but not something that's physical in nature. That's what they figure out, though, that the Dark Mist is a virus. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Boruto knows who all 40 people are. I mean, Kwanaki, obviously, he knows them because of, well, he was in Kara. In the case of Boruto, through intel. That's how he knows about him, the fact he's well known, too. Sadara probably through intel as well. And it's a bit of a surprise he knows who Mitsuke is, given the fact he's not the big publicly known person. I mean, his father is one of the most hated people in the whole world, Orochimaru. Oh yeah, you're Mitsuke, child of Orochimaru. And of course, people tend to forget the fact that Sadara's mom happens to be Sakura, the head of the medical corps. Well, the head of the leave hospital. Yep. Then, of course, right after think they won, and then, of course, we have the half-destroyed Baro stand up and then regenerate. Because he's got this little, because it was real early when Boruto hit him with his first Rasengan, which is actually real and powerful. He has a big super regenerative ability. And in case you're curious still, this fight will go on for a little while, actually. Yes. If you're curious, though, when this fight wraps up, it actually wraps up... Excuse me. I think this wraps up by... let's see here. It's not by 41. No, that's where they got to this one. I think it's... Let's see, because before they have the rematch with Jagan. Yeah, it's before they have the rematch with Jagan. Let's see here. Let's see, I think it's... Yeah, I think by chapter 43, so not much longer until they pretty much eliminate, well, Baro. I'd probably say that by chapter 41, that's when they pretty much get rid of him. So he's going to be around for a little while. I say basically when it comes to changes, as far as I can tell, barely any. Yeah, I'd probably say there's not really much changes here. It's pretty favorable to the source material. And oddly enough, there's no anime original content for this one. Yeah, second episode of Road, there's no anime original scenes, no scenes of Car HQ. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to mention this when it comes to Baro. During his fight with Sadara, he does mention about what happened before. During the anime original content about that village affected with that virus, this strange mist. Turns out he's the one who did that, and that he sort of took away the virus and becomes a savior. Yeah. As far as I can tell at that particular moment, I think that was mostly in original content, from what I could tell, but that was a mild bit of a conversation. Mostly put visually wise, it's straight from the manga. Not much change here, with the exception of the additional information about the village. Well, there's not much here for original stuff here. Not really much at all. So, my guess is this fight probably be wrapped up probably by next week, I'd say. Yes, I think that probably for next week's episode, that's probably when this fight will be wrapped up with Baro. Yep. So yeah, not much else to say about this episode. Just really good. Okay, so that's a particular view. I have one more video I'm going to do. I'm going to put up in a minute, but it wrapped. I put up at least one of these videos I just recorded today. Okay, but it'll be a comic, all right? See you next video. Bye.